What's up, YouTube? Mr. Limacy here, and today we're going to talk about how to block subnets so that you can increase your chances for getting the right IP and getting onto a hunt for Diablo clone, right? I have a video. I'll put it down in my YouTube or in the description below so you can see just how Diablo clone spawns. Once you have learned that, we can come over here and I'll walk through this piece right here because this is the important thing. So the first thing that you will be able to see is, this actually has kind of been more and more proven, but this is utilizing a tool for blocking the subnets. So for instance, you want to narrow the pool of IPs. What this means is Diablo clone is going to spawn on a specific IP, right? And we already talked about that in that other video. There's going to be like 200 games on that IP. So it could be like 34.186.235.26 or something. That could be the IP. The specific piece that we're breaking down right now is that first number, the 34. Because you have 34, you have 35, you have 158, you have 104. These are all going to be Asia servers will exist on those. America servers could be on like 42.86.150. Like whatever it is, right? I don't know the US servers, but those are the Asia server IP pieces. So you cannot break it down completely to an IP address because if you try and just block everything but the specific IP address, Blizzard will just lock you up trying to join a game. But what you can do is you can go in and you can block out the other IPs from that initial range, right? And so you can get yourself in only 34 games, which is going to increase your chances. So for instance, you can see up at the top, I say the subnet for Clone Walk is 34 dot. This means that you can block 35, 158, 104, and only have it so you're just getting in on the 34s, which is going to be really nice, right? So here is how you do that. You can bring up the Windows Defender firewall, go to Advanced Settings, and click on Outbound Rules. Then you're going to right-click and create a new rule. You can name this like declone walk or something like that. On the rule page, choose Custom. Under Rule Type, click Next. On the program page, this program path, browse for the D2R exe file, and then click Next. On the protocol and ports page, keep the settings and click Next. And then the scope page, under which remote IP addresses does this rule apply to, check these IP addresses, and this is where you're going to add the IPs that you want to block. So you can click Add and check this IP range, and then this is where you decide what you're going to be blocking, and we'll put that below. Once you've done that, on the action page, click Block Connection, hit Next. On the profile domain, blah, 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 it should be check mark, click Next. And on the name page, you'll name your firewall rule to whatever it was, right? So this is what we're putting in for the IP ranges. So let's say, and right here it says we're hunting 35.23.235.2. Once again, we can't get the entire IP in here, but what we can do is only hunt for games on the 35 subnet here, on the IP address of 35 dot blank. So you're blocking everything from 34.1.1.1 to 34.255.255.255, and this is going to block everything on 34. Then you can do the same thing for 151 or 158 and 104 as well, if you would like. Right, and this is kind of explaining how IP addresses work. Everything is going to fall between 1 and 255 on each of these, and so when you do that, you're always going to block. So we're blocking everything that's not a 35 dot. So then we do that, then the IP subnets in D2R are 34, 35, 104, and 158. This is only for Asia, okay? So we can block, sorry, IPs just automatically get deleted there. You can block everything that is not going to be there by blocking 34.111 to 34.255.255.255, 158.111 to 158.255.255.255, and 104.111 or .1.1.1 to 255, right? The same thing. Then you are good to go, and you will only be getting into games with the 34 dot at that point, because you've blocked all of those connections. No, it's not .0, it's .1, because there's no 0 in that. As these rules continue to narrow your window of IP addresses you're allowing your game to access. So if you have the rule above, you could get anything in those, and this is to try and block more, right? This is saying only getting into 35.23.blank, but the problem is, if you try and narrow too quickly, you're just going to get failed to connect to game issues. So what this all is saying is, once I've done this, every time I join a game, I am going to get into a 35 dot something game, which once again means I'm not getting into any of the, or this would be 35s, right? So I'm not getting into any of the 34s, the 158s, or the 104 server games. So I'm eliminating 3/4 of the games, basically, that I could be potentially getting into, and only getting into the 35s in this instance, right? So you're not guaranteed to get a game, but it increases your chances a lot that you're going to be able to get into it, because you're going to have, let's say there's 200 different, games or servers within each of those subnets or something, then okay, now you've eliminated, the 600 of the others, whatever it is, right? So obviously each of these has different numbers on them. We don't have all of that information, but basically we're just looking for fewer servers, narrowing our search pool down. So in this case, right now, if you look up at the top, we are on the Asia server. We are doing a 34 dot, and you should block all of the other subnets. So block, once again, 35, 104, and 158 from 111 to 255, 255, 255. On those other three, SOJs are being sold every minute. And yeah, if you get into a game and you wait a minute and an SOJ is not sold, leave the game and make a new game. That's basically what you'll be doing. You'll keep getting into different 34 dot games, and hopefully you get into the right IP. If it does say SOJ spawned, or SOJ sold to vendor at any time during that minute, you'll know an SOJ is being sold, which means you know that you're good. Stay in that game until it reaches Diablo clone. And you can just keep rolling through there. And good luck to you all. So that's a little bit of a sloppy explanation. This text, I think, is pretty good in explaining it all through. Hopefully you guys understand how to do that. And then the biggest thing I can say is, once this ends, make sure to go back and disable that rule. So you can right click on any rule in your Windows Defender and click disable rule. Otherwise, if you try and switch back to North America server or something like that and join games, you're just going to get failed to connect, because there is no 34 subnet for the America servers. So you're not going to be able to get into anything. And it can screw up other stuff as well. So just make sure to disable the rule once this is all done. Can I give an example of what it should look like where you put it there? I mean, it's literally going to be, sure. I mean, I can just do a quick notepad. Real fast. And notepad. It'll be okay, here's what we want to block for this. So we want to block 35.255. Okay. And 104 and 158. So this is what we're going to be doing right now. But there's 2 fields, from and to. Yeah. So it's from, I just put a dash, but to. Yeah, and there's going to be hundreds of IPs, if not more, per subnet. So you have to specify the endpoint? Yeah. Oh, no. Does sold messages show in chat? Yes. It'll show in your chat, so you'll just look in your chat. Anyways. Did I say bye, YouTube? If not, peace, YouTube. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful.